Hi everybody. In tonight's Unity tutorial, I'm going to go over 3 ways to do text. So I have a project here, and the first way that I'm going to show to do text is, let me see my scenes folder here, is to use OnGui. And I use OnGui like if I'm just like coding and I need some debug information to show on the screen. So I'm going to press play, and we're going to see that I could use it to display text on the screen. And I also, found a way to use it to put text over a game object like this over here. Okay, so the text over the game object, it's printing the text over the game object, and the text is basically printing the same size. It's not really in 3D, it's just printing the screen text at the same place as the game object. So kind of have this funny effect when he goes away, he looks smaller. The code for this looks like this. And first I just have some regular movement controls. Okay, that's just reading from the input axis, vertical and horizontal. And then here's the method, OnGui. And it says it right here in the pop-up, OnGui is called for rendering and handling GUI events. So I just made a little function for the screen text hello world, and I give it the rectangle 1010 350, like in this space of the screen. The rectangle where it's going to display is like 1010 300 wide and 50 deep. And then here in the on-screen text method, if I go to definition right here, I could do a style object to set the font size and the color, and then I call GUI.Label. There's some other GUI functions too. GUI.Label, there's horizontal slider, horizontal scroll bar, password field, repeat button. There's toggle bar, toolbar. There's a bunch of things here that you could do with the GUI. I'm just using GUI.Label. So that's the screen text. And then the text over the player, it's still the same text method. I'm just controlling the position. And that's done over here with the overhead label. So the object that I'm displaying the text over is the game object, this game object that I attached the script to. So same thing, I have the style, which I set the font size and the color. And then I have to do a thing where I'm gonna like use the screen. See, so my camera is looking. I'm gonna use the camera world to screen point to transform this game object's position, and then I just raise it up a little bit higher than the game object's position because my game object position. Let me move this guy closer so we could like take a look at him better. Say it would be like over here where his belt is. His is actually down to the feet, so I just have to move the text up to there. So that's the 0.45. Then I have to flip the y-axis, sort of, because I guess when it translates, the y is going the other way. So I just flip the y-axis, screen height minus the location of the y. And then I just print out the GUI.Label again. So here is a rectangle saying where the hello world prints, and over here there's a rectangle too. You got to give it the rectangle that's going to display the text in. If the rectangle that you display the text in is kind of smaller than the space, so say I can't do it, then the text kind of just like word wraps. So that's the first method. I usually use it for debugging because Unity says using this method is more processor intensive than the other 2 methods I'm going to show you. Basically because it draws the text every single frame, even if nothing's happening. So I press stop. Let's look at the other scene I have here that has the other 2 methods, which are UI text objects methods. And there's the UI text, that's the one that's going to be on the screen, and then there's the 3D text, which is this text that's over my player right here. See this text right here, Moody? So the UI text, when you first go to add it, if I right click, I would say game object UI TextMeshPro Text. And when I go to add this TextMeshPro Text, if it's the first time I'm adding a TextMeshPro Text to the game, it would have this little pop-up says, do you want to import the essentials? And a matter of fact, you don't have a choice. You have to say, yes, import the essentials. You click on that, and then it imports some TextMeshPro package stuff down here. And it creates a canvas object. And inside the canvas object, it creates the TextMeshPro object. And my cat, sorry, is like getting on in front of me. And then it also creates an event system, because with this UI text, you could have events on the text. So you get 3 objects here. And this screen text here, if I look at the game view, is hello world. And that I can control the position a little bit, you know, like that, the up and down of it. As you can see, look, I can make the text have different effects with TextMeshPro. It's like right here with all the colors and gradients and positioning, and I have all these settings. So these are kind of beneficial. And then there's the other text I added over Moopy. So I have Moopy game object. If I zoom in on him, let me go back to the scene view. And when I added the text to Moopy, I just right-clicked and I picked 3D object, because this is a 3D text object. 3D object TextMeshPro Text, and then it added the overhead label thing. And this, I could control the size of the rectangle graphically, and I can control the positioning of it. Okay. Oops. That looks a little bit off. So I can just position it just like that. And then when I press play on this scene, same thing. The text follows the player, but you see when I get closer, the text gets bigger, and when I get further, the text gets smaller, because the text is actually a 3D object in the scene. So those are the 3 methods. In the code, it's easier for this. After I put this here, that just works. And the overhead text following the player, that the text kind of faces wherever it faces the camera all the time, that's done with this code over here. So let's see, the 3D text script right here. Okay. First I have this, and this is to control the movement of the player. And then I have this game object overhead label, which is going to be set to the TextMeshPro 3D text object. And then I made a function overhead label text face the camera, so it continues to face the camera as I move around. So I get the direction, like, okay, I could use look at, right? And look at will have the game object look right at the camera, but then the text was backwards. So I just found the reverse of look at, which is this, and then I rotate it to that reverse. And then over here, just in case, the camera's like up here, I didn't want the text actually like turning and facing up here. I want it to kind of face straight this way. So then I had this here where I keep the rotation standing straight up and down. I zero out the X and the Z. So if I took out this overhead label call to point the camera and I press play, basically the text, it's just over his head, and you see the text turns in 3D too. So since I wanted the text to stay facing the camera, that's why I made this function. All right, so those are the 3 methods.